Ukrainian babka is a traditional sweetbread recipe that we make at Easter. Now, this recipe is my grandma's, and this is my number one most cherished family recipe. Now, there are two interchangeable Ukrainian breads that are traditionally made around Easter, and people call them different names. I run into this every year. There is Pascha. Now, in my family, Pascha is the braided, plain, round bread that you decorate with a glaze, sometimes some Easter eggs, and you take to church. So that's the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, or it's also called Greek Catholic. Now, babka to us is the tower bread that we make in coffee cans. So we bake it up, it's a tower, and I don't actually usually put an icing on mine. I've noticed that families sort of choose one name or the other. So you will see this called Pascha, you will see this called babka. It's the same bread as long as it's the tower bread. Now, let's talk about the coffee tins, because every year I am asked where I find my stash of coffee tins. This is the traditional way of baking them. I found these at a garage sale. I'm going to link to the espresso brand that this coffee comes in, so you can still find it. Go check your local Italian center. So check the link for the product. Don't buy it there though, because it's too expensive. When you get them, you're going to remove the label, you're going to remove any of the glue. There is going to be a little rim inside of them. Take a can opener, remove the little metal rim, pinch with pliers any sharp points, because you've got to use it for bread and greasing, and you are good to go. I actually got all of these for free at a garage sale, and I ran with my box like a crazy Ukrainian baba to the car with my haul. And I think I got about 20 of these. So they get passed on to children in Ukrainian families. We guard these like dragons. Okay, it is time to get the babka going. I'm gonna tie my hair back, wash my hands, and let's get going. Now, there's actually some kitchen science behind why we are going to scald the milk in this recipe, and not many other babka recipes do that. When you scald the milk, the whey protein and other enzymes in the milk are changed, and the yeast feeds on it better, making a lighter, fluffier bread. Okay, so when a recipe talks about scalding milk, you want to get it, can you guys see that? To where it's steaming. You do not want to boil it, but at the point where it's steaming like this, your milk is scalded, and it does make a difference in your bread. Now, I actually ran out of saffron, so I'm going to half and half at this recipe. I'm going to use some saffron and a little bit of turmeric, because I'm not running to the store. So the saffron is going to need to dissolve in that, and sometimes it takes a while, so it's a lot easier when it's hot. Now, this is where you get the yellow color of the bread from. So turmeric actually does not have that much flavor to it, believe it or not. So just make sure it's good and yellow at this point, and your saffron is dissolved. Now, a lot of people are like, ew, turmeric, but you know what? Let's remember that my grandparents didn't have a lot of money, so when my grandma made this, it actually was never made with saffron. Okay, now it's time for some ice water. A lot of recipes say cold water, but why put in cold when you can put in ice water and speed up the process? So you're gonna let that dissolve. It's going to cool down this mixture. Okay, now it's time to proof the yeast, and funny story, I accidentally put salt in the first time that I shot this video. So Mike and I wanted to be all fancy and do this time-lapse video. 18 minutes later, I went to look, and I have no proofed yeast. I looked down at my ingredients, I had put salt in it. So here's the new fun little time-lapse video of what actually happens when you proof your yeast with sugar. Now, the reason that we only use egg yolks in this recipe is, one, it makes this bread so much richer than putting eggs in. And two, it helps make the bread yellow. I highly suggest that you just use the egg yolks, and tip, you are going to want to put away some of the egg whites. We are going to beat them, and then we're going to brush the top of the babka later on when we're baking it. Now, another little tip is I actually like to add my salt to the milk instead of trying to mix it into the 7 or 8 cups of flour that I'm going to use later on. Now, we're just going to put that milk mixture right into the yeast mixture. We're going to attach our dough hook. I never have to oil my dough hook You might have to, depends on your mixer. You're just going to start it on low, and we're finally going to start adding the flour to this. I start with 4 cups of flour because I know that it's not even going to be close to ready. After that 4 cups of flour, I put in the raisins, and then we keep going. You're going to keep adding the flour cup by cup until about 8 cups. Then you're going to have to judge what your dough looks like. On a humid day, you might have to add more flour, so get it up to 8 cups and then see where it is. You just touch it to see how tacky it is and add a little bit more if needed. This is the point right here. Look at how my dough is pulling away from the sides of the bowl. I know that this is really, really close to being done, and as long as when you need it in the bowl here, you should just have a little bit of dough sticking to your fingers. It should be beautiful and elasticy on the outside, but when you sink your fingers into it a bit, you're going to have dough clinging. That's how you know it's ready. Okay, so the dough is ready. Ta-da! There it is, all beautiful. So it is time to grease the tins. So just gonna set this to the side. The best way to do this is actually to put on gloves and get right in there with the butter. You have to grease it really well. No cooking spray will not work, like at all in this. It has to be a really thick layer of butter. So remember when I said that you have to make sure after you cut out that inner circle that this is smooth? This is why, or you're gonna cut yourself. Okay, should be good. So yeah, thick layer of grease in there, if you guys can see that. Lots of butter. Okay, I'm gonna start with 8 tins. This may evolve into 10 tins. We're gonna see what the batch makes. It all depends on the size of your coffee tins. The rule of thumb is that you're gonna fill them up to about 1/3 with the dough, and then it's gonna rise all of the way, and then when you're baking it, it's gonna rise some more. Okay, now it's time to take out all of your aggressions on your dough, punch it down, knead it over itself a couple of times. You can see how it is just perfect. Just sticks a little bit, it's ready to go. So remember what I said, your rule is that you're going to want to fill the container about 1/3 full. So now we're gonna form some little balls here, plop them in the containers. So now this is the hard part, and actually this year I got a little bit scientific. I weighed all the dough balls to make sure they were the same, and they all came out to about 300 grams each. Now you're gonna see later on in the video that they actually didn't all bake up the same. However, I weighed them so that I knew each of these cans had about 1/3 in them, and that was 300 grams. When you're putting the dough in, you're going to try to put the rounded part of the ball up, and any seams that you have in the dough is going to go in the bottom of the can. Okay, so my oven rack, of course, is on the bottom. Now I have that proof button, so I'm going to proof these in my oven again. If you don't, just put them in the warm place, cover them up with a damp towel until they're ready to go, and then take that towel off. Now I'm gonna show you right here, this is what they're gonna look like. So when I talk about how this dough triples in size, I actually mean it. We are going to bake them from the get-go in the oven. You're going to turn it to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and bake them up. Now within minutes, you're going to have to put tin foil on top. The tops always brown the fastest, which is why we've dropped them to the bottom rack. When they're about 25 minutes in, we are going to use that leftover egg white. You're going to brush it on the tops of them to give the beautiful gloss. You can skip this if you've accidentally thrown out or eaten your egg whites, but it really does make them look beautiful. Okay, if you grease these well enough, you don't need to take a knife to them or anything. I'm going to show you how I take them out. So you're literally going to take this and just give it a little shake. You can feel it. It's not going to collapse the bread, don't worry. Now, I'm just going to shake it right out. Ta-da! Then you're going to put it there, and you're going to let it cool. I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe because it took me all day to make this video for you. Happy Easter and happy baking. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below.